Hello everyone, welcome back to this week's edition of Ian Explains. Ian Explains is a segment we put on where an EN engineering expert helps dissect a specific topic for us and make it easier to understand. My name is Don Gibson, and I have this week with me Cedric Moore. Now Cedric is the Vice President of Utilities for our Western region, and he's going to be talking with us today about diversity at EN and also specifically in the engineering world. So Cedric, how are you today?
I'm doing great today, Don. Really appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you today. So thanks for having me.
No problem. So Cedric, today I'd like for you to start by giving us a summary of your background and also just a summary of what got you interested in the engineering world.
You know, my background really is heavily in the utility industry as well. That comes from my 18 to 20 years, if you call it that, in the utility industry with Baltimore Gas and Electric, mostly Exelon Utilities, and working with conjunction with those in ComEd, PECO, and other utilities much like that as well. Been around the operational side, and just to be honest, you know, at the age of 5 or 6, in fact, I recall drawing, sitting down at my desk at that age and just putting together drawings of large buildings with corporations that had more industries on it. You know, I just always had an idea of really wanting to be involved in both business and in architecture, planning, design, because I really just felt like that was my calling to kind of help out the industry.
Sounds like you really had this from the beginning. Kind of the itch to design and engineer.
Yep.
So on a personal level, can I ask, you know, how has it been being a minority in the engineering space? Can you give us some of that experience for you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, Don. Most people haven't really asked that perspective, but I'm certainly willing to offer my perspective, one person's perspective of the way we see things taking place. My experience overall has been extremely good, to be honest with you. Sure, I've had some difficult items to have to navigate through, but for me, in general, the experience has been relatively normal, as you would call it. You know, with that being said, there are a couple of experiences that really help you to realize, you know, that we still haven't made all the progress that we need to make. There's always some room for improvement. There's always things that can be done. You know, I do have one example to, you know, just really highlight some of the challenges that minorities may have, you know, in the engineering realm. I recall being in the field as a early field design engineer and being able to work with a customer that had a specific need for his facility. I distinctly recall that individual raising my race as a reason for being extra difficult with the standards and sticking to the book. In fact, I recall him making a comment that if this were a white person, I wouldn't have to go through these additional standards. And so that's just an example of some of the unintended bias that certain customers may even have at certain times, that you really need to take a step back, calm down, and really think about the fact that this individual is really frustrated at the entire process in general, and unfortunately it manifests itself by being racially motivated, racially charged. It may take you by surprise sometimes when people, you know, outright show a lack of respect for you, your design perspective, your expertise, and being able to understand that that doesn't necessarily reflect poorly on you. That may be an issue that individual may be dealing with. Really helps you not to internalize and become more aggravated by it, but really look for a way of helping bridge the gap between yourself and others.
Cedric, you're on EN Engineering's Committee on Diversity and Inclusion. So can you give us some ideas about what you're doing, as well as how EN is working to make the world a better place?
Yeah, well, making the world a better place is a tall order. So, to put that in context, we think we just need to make some small incremental steps along the way. My dad always told me, you can't eat an elephant all at once. You got to take it one bite at a time. So I think that's really what we're trying to do here. We understand a couple of things. One is that there are varying perspectives across the EN employee population. No one agrees on every single thing at every given point. And to make it even more complex, as people get older and evolve, they see the world in slightly different ways. And so that opinion and perspective can change over time as well. We know that there are those different perspectives on these topics, and always for good reason. But we're really looking as a committee to look to create an environment where employees, people in general, feel welcome to share those experiences, feel welcome to share their specific perspective without judgment or fear that they're going to be ridiculed, marginalized, disrespected, won't get promotions. We need to create an environment where people feel empowered to speak about their perspectives in a very respectful way, because that really is what real life is. It reflects real life and how we see the world in general. Our views really are developed from our past experiences, and so it can be really difficult and tough to try to balance those. I think one of the other things there, we recognize, continuing on there, that social media really has created this environment where people feel the need to intimidate others, that they disagree with. They feel that it's okay to be disrespectful to people or call people out, be true as it is. But here at EN, we really realize that the best solutions come from creating that respectful culture where, regardless of your background, culture, gender, age, orientation, whatever it may be, people feel empowered to articulate their constructive ideas that pertain to the engineering world. That's what we're really after. And so we're encouraging all of our leaders, both today and tomorrow into the future, to be a lot more respectful, tolerant of differing opinions, recognizing that in order to really understand where people come from, you have to first take some time to listen, really try to put yourself empathetically in that position to understand that diverse perspective in order to make the change.
So, Cedric, thanks again for joining us this week on Ian Explains. For those of you watching online, feel free to comment, maybe share some experiences that you've had in regards to diversity in the workplace. We'd love to hear from you. So, Cedric, thanks again.
Sure.
Have a great week and be safe.
Thanks.